Persistence of thought is the curse that leads to great accomplishments through obsession, the driving force behind the creative arts. That driven sense which cannot be denied. Alcohol can raise serotonin in the short run, but decreases it long term, a doomed attempt at self-medication. But hold on, relief is being researched. Born without the enzymes that digest milk, she supplies it via lactate tablets. Born without the zymes that digest mood, Zoloft prolongs her mood regulators. Behavior modification can raise serotonin too, though not as quickly as medications like paroxetine, but it still works, it just takes longer. Behavior modification can change us too, for the worse if we see too much aggression, or do the same thing too long, such as overtime, getting well grooved into that same old rut. The highest zone is absolute happiness, though even the best can slip to well-being and sometimes down into the bearable zone. Next come the anger, apathy, and death zones. Once we drop into the anger zone, the analytical mind cuts out, giving way to the primitive reactive mind, a moronic state in which even beige seems black. The simple reactive mind thinks that, say, a perceived bad tone equals insult equals hate equals great anger equals lash out equals big fight equals kill equals death. The mind is quite weak in the fighting off of emotions, for they have a direct pathway into consciousness, bypassing the rational thinking part of the brain. Emotions usually take sole control, brain logic relegated to the sidelines, being ineffective against a mood. It's a wonder what's really is in charge. Reason and emotion are hard to coordinate, each having a separate pathway to the mind. That perhaps is all there is to tell about the miseries and follies of human history. Emotions are slow to react to logic, like molasses or slow-forming crystals, or not at all, like rocks blocking us. Unless and until they change, progress halts. Some ways that we think and feel depends but upon chemicals, neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin that fluctuate. So, how meaningful are strange moods? Let reactions sail on by, just observe them, but don't act on them. This puts some distance between you and your conditioned response, a space which grants a modicum of free will. When extreme thoughts arrive, uninvited as most thoughts do, we veto them, saying don't. For while we can never will that which does the unconscious willing, we have some free won't.
From its safe, subjective place that's free of fear, the soul, our conscious awareness, can witness the strange thoughts and emotions that surface on the mind, sent there by the subconscious brain. Conscious awareness, which can but witness, is a safe haven from which to observe the drama of our lives playing in our minds, granting us a sobering distance from it. Life should be euphoric, like spring fever, as in those rare moments of ecstasy when one is in the zone and cannot miss. So let all aversive substrates be removed. The higher modes of being that await the future chemically enhanced will make today's primitive mind state seem as a child's tin flute to a symphony. Some people are just a little bit crazy, with a mild mental ills, some genes awry. We call them inept, heartless, offbeat, even persistent but interesting. One has, say, a learning disability, so do equal opportunity programs, or diversity programs discriminate against the handicap of being just plain dumb? Why should the wetness of water result from the mix of hydrogen-oxygen? How can cells, blood, heart, and nerves make life? It is just so. So does matter make mind. Change the brain and consciousness changes too. Take drugs and the emotions change as well. Damage the brain and the mind's damaged too. Consciousness emerges only from the brain. The brain would be the mind and vice versa. So there is no need for the mind to turn the brain's water into wine if there's no wine that's separate from the water. Is consciousness emergent from the brain? Somehow a fundamental phenomenon? Could it be the brain perceiving itself, something we might like to call the mind's eye? Consciousness may be fundamental, like mass, space, and time, and would require no explanation, it just arising. Mind, it matters, matter, ever mind? Consciousness is irreducible in terms of basic entities, so could it be that the intrinsic properties underlying physical dispositions are experiential? Energy awareness could be the same ground of ultimate reality, on which both quantum jumps/mind thoughts are built, leading to the matter of brain neurons. Pain's not the same as the nerves that cause it, yet a mind apart couldn't conserve energy. Therefore, our info exists in two ways. consciously and neurologically. Nature's made of occasions of experience instantiated into consciousness, even for electrons and lower life forms, though worms sense but a smudge of reality.
In identifying consciousness, we often confuse what is floating in the stream of consciousness with the water itself. Thus, we note not the sea in which we see. How is conscious reality realized? What directs the spotlight of attention? Who's the silent witness that can do none other? Who is the knower that does the knowing? I equals awareness of the mind state, but who or what then is this I? Observing, which is all I can do, transcending space. Could it be some ground of all being itself? Awareness can never be an object of observation because awareness is the very means whereby we observe. We can't see awareness since we are it. We can never really understand awareness, a subject, because it's not itself an object that we can be aware of. For the only tool we have to use on it is awareness itself. Since the eye of our awareness, that can but observe the mind's content, is not what it sees, it is the universal subject, a soul of unperceptive immortality. In consciousness, there's no distance between the thing observed and what is observing. They are perhaps one and the same, and so it is that we seem to have a self. I am not this body or even this thought, for I am a part of space-time itself, although I require a mind-brain to look. For this, indeed, produces what I look at. The soul of awareness might be a basic property of space-time that can but observe the self. The contents of the brain, that is, the portion that's currently on display, the Midas magic of our consciousness, that quantum alchemist of potential, creates the real from the possible, for everything it touches turns to matter. In the eerie quantum world, all possible and potential realities exist at once, in a superposition, until one emerges into reality. Electrons as waves are all spread out, and as such are nowhere, having no position, but they have direction. As particles, they reside someplace but have no momentum, without a position and momentum. At the same time, electrons have no objective reality at all. They go from here to there with no in-between. Subatomics exist everywhere, yet nowhere until they interact or seen by consciousness. So, now we sense they're like the selfless states of meditation. Do photons know they are being measured? By sending out an offer wave through both slits at once, then receive the handshake of acceptance through just one slit and go there.